Hello everybody, and I'm sorry I can't be with you again today. However, I'm still with you, in a sense, at least through video. All right, so we're going to review some things today, and this will be helpful for you when you do your homework. Okay, and I'm going to show you two different strategies you can use in order to put these in order from greatest to least. Now, the number one thing that I saw that you were doing wrong in your homework before break was you weren't reading the directions, okay? A lot of you just went ahead and when I said to put things in order, you went ahead and put it in order from least to greatest. So you have to make sure that you look at the directions and you follow those directions. So there are two different ways, two different strategies you can use for this. One that you're really familiar with. The one that you're most familiar with probably is the common denominator, okay? So using common denominator would be one way you could do this. You could also use a benchmark. So here I would use a benchmark of half, okay? Because we're all familiar with what half is and what things are equivalent to half. So you could put these in categories depending on whether they are less than half, equal to half, or more than half, okay? So those are the two different strategies that you could use, and I'm going to show both of them when I give you the answer. So what I would like you to do now, the sub is going to pause this video, and then when we come back to it, then I'm going to go ahead and go over it with you. So make sure you have your paper and pencil ready. And if you, Seb's going to pause this video now, and then we'll come back to the answers. Okay, so one way you could do this is to find a common denominator. So I'm looking at the sixths and fourths, and I'm trying to think of their count bys to see what they would have in common. So when I count by fours, 4, 8, 12, I know that I can also count by sixes and get 12. So twelfths is what I'm going to go with. Some of you may have just gone ahead and multiplied the opposite denominator to get 24ths, but I'm going to go ahead and go with twelfths because that's what I see first. So now I have to determine, what do I multiply times 6 to get 12? Well, when I count by sixes, I count twice in order to get 12. So I'm going to go through here, and every time I see a sixth, I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator times 2. All right. So now I can change this, and instead of 2 sixths, the equivalent fraction would be 4 twelfths. All right, so now over here, and I'm going to skip this one for now because I don't have anything else written on there. So I'm going to go to 5 sixths. An equivalent fraction would be 10 twelfths. Okay, and 3 sixths, the equivalent fraction would be 6 twelfths. All right, now I have to determine how many times do I count by 4 to get 12. Well, I count 4, 8, 12, which would be 3 times. So I multiply my numerators and my denominators times 3. Now for 3 fourths, my equivalent fraction would be 9 twelfths. And then for 1 fourth, my equivalent fraction would be 3 twelfths. Now when I take a look at these, it's pretty obvious how to put them in order. Obviously, I'm going to put, now, I could do my original numbers because I have my original numbers right here, okay? So I could go ahead and do, well, 5 sixths is going to be first, okay? So I'll put a check mark by that one. And then I look again and 9 twelfths, so 3 fourths is going to be next. It's the next greatest, okay? And I'm looking again, and then I've got 3 sixths will be next. Okay, put a check mark by that one. And then I've got 4/12, so 2/6 will be next. Okay, put a check mark by that one. And then obviously then 1/4 would be the least. Okay, makes sense? All right. So now another way I could do this is by using a benchmark. So I'm just gonna put this over here on the side. Less than half, okay? Equal to half, and then more than half. So I can categorize them, okay? So the ones that are less than half. So when I look up here, the ones that are less than half, that's going to be 1/4 is definitely less than half. Okay, are there any others that are less than half? Well, 2/6, when I look at 2/6, I know 3/6 is equal to half. So this is going to be less than half also. So 2/6. So I've got two that are less than half. Now, my one that is equal to half, 3/6, I have that here. 3 is half of 6, so I know that that's equal. And I don't have any others up there. So I have two more that are going to be more than half, and that would be 3/4 and 5/6. Now both of those look like, I mean, it's only one away from the whole number, right? 1/6 and 1/4. This is 1/4 away. This is 1/6 away. Well, when I think about that, 1/6 is a smaller piece than 1/4, right? So since there's a smaller piece that needs to be added to this to make one whole, I know that this one's bigger. So I know that 5/6, so that's going to help me determine that 5/6, right? 5/6 is bigger than 3/4. Well, then I know that 3/4 is more than the rest of them, so I know that 3/4 will be next. And then I move up here, equal to half. Well, that would be 3/6. It's the only one in that category. Then I've got these two to look at. Well, this one, I can tell that one, it has two even numbers, so it can be reduced. It can be reduced by 2. So I can pull 2 out of each one of those. So I can divide this and I can get 1, and I can divide 6 divided by 2 and get 3. Aha! Now I know that 1/3 is bigger than 1/4, so I know that 1/3 goes next, or 2/6, right? And then 1/4 is the smallest. Now, we've got a small little mathematician who wants to say hi real quick. She's going to run away because she doesn't like to be held. But that was Elsa. I didn't know if you saw her. She put her paws up there. Okay, so I want you to check your work. See if you got the same answers I did. All right, so there's 2 different strategies that you can use. And remember, this is going to be helpful in your homework this week. You've got one on the front page. I think it's on Tuesdays. And then one of these for Wednesday. Okay? All right, so you may want to keep this and use this information then for when you do your homework. All right, so now we're going to get to our word problems for today. We're going to go over some together. And while I'm erasing this, the sub can be passing out the one that we're going to do as a class. Okay? And then there'll be some that you're going to do on your own or with partners, whatever the sub determines is appropriate. Okay, so we've got the word problems, and Ray works at a drink stand, okay? And he makes fruit, I don't know if they're milkshakes or what kind of shakes they are, but it says shakes. So he makes a fruit drink of some kind, and he has to go to the store. He has to purchase all of these things on his own since this is his business. So Ray goes to the nearby fruit market to buy fruit for his fruit shake business. He bought 3 bags of fruit, with 9 1/3 kilograms of pineapple, 12 4/5 kilograms of mangoes, and 8 7/10 kilograms of oranges altogether. How many kilograms of fruit did he buy in all? Well, the very first thing I have to look at is what kind of clues are they giving me to tell me what operation I'm using? Well, I'm looking at the words altogether and in all. Both of those tell me that we're putting things together. Putting things together, the operation would be addition, okay? Now, what are we adding? Well, it says here kilograms of fruit. So now I've got to go back up to the problem and determine what numbers tell me about the kilograms of fruit. So here I've got 3 bags. Well, 3 bags, it does not tell me anything about the kilograms of fruit. So that is not information that I need to know in order to answer the question. We've got 9 1/3 kilograms of pineapple, 12 4/5 kilograms of mangoes, and 8 7/10 kilograms of oranges. All of those I need. So I need to add the pineapple plus the mangoes plus the oranges. Now you'll notice here that there are 3 things that I'm adding up. For myself, I feel like it's easier if I do 2 at a time. So that's how I'm going to address this problem. So I'm going to start with, let's see, it says 9 1/3 kilograms. I'm going to go ahead and write this out so I have all of my information in one spot. And it just makes it easier. Okay, so now I have all of the information written. Now, I don't like writing it horizontally. I like writing things vertically. I'm going to start with this piece of information, and then I'll add in the other piece of information. So I'm going to go ahead and write 9 1/3 kilograms, which are the pineapple, plus the 12 4/5 kilograms, which are the mangoes. Okay, now, I do not have a common denominator. I want to find a common denominator. So I'm going to go ahead, and when I count by 3s, when I get to a 5 in the ones, then I know I've got my number. Okay? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15. There we go. So that would be times 5. And what I do to the denominator, I have to do to my numerator. So now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. 9 5/15, which remember is an equivalent fraction to what I originally had. When I count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, I count 3 times to get my 15. So this would be 12 12/15. All right, I have to remember that I'm adding, okay? So I have to put my addition sign. Now, I can go ahead and add these up. I've got 5/15 plus 12/15, which gives me 17/15. 9 plus 12 is 21. Now, I'm not finished because I have not added my oranges to it. So now I've got to add the oranges. So when I add the oranges, I've got 15ths and 10ths. When I count by 10s, 10, 20, 30, I know that 3 10s is 30. Well, 2 15s is 30. So I multiply this times 2 and this times 3. So now I've got 21 and 34 30ths plus 8 and 21 30ths. Now I go ahead and add that up. I've got 30, oh no, sorry. I'm looking at my improper fraction. 29 and 55 30ths. So I'm going to write that over here. 55/30. When I rewrite that, instead of like we did with our the morning work yesterday, instead of taking one whole out, we're putting one whole in because we've got the improper fraction here. So this is going to change when I take one whole out and put it into here. Then I need to subtract this, and we've got 25/30. Wait a minute. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I can count by fives and get 25, and I can count by fives and get 30. So I know I can reduce it by 5. Now, if you put this as your answer, I would not mark that wrong. So this would be 30. And how many 5s in 25? We just said there are 5. How many 5s in 30? 6. And I know it's kilograms. Kilograms of what did we say? Of fruit. Of fruit. All right. So I'll let you finish copying that. Hopefully you saw here, hopefully I gave you good enough tips in order to show you that in all told us to add. What are we adding? You go to the question for that. We're adding the fruit. Since we had 3 things to add up, I broke it up into 2 separate ways to put it together, just to make it simpler. And then at the end, I saw that there was an improper fraction. So I took 30/30 out and put it into the whole number, and then subtracted my numerator minus my denominator to get my new numerator. Okay? All right. So there was one problem. That was problem number 1. Now we're going to go on to problem number 2. I'm going to go ahead and read it and leave this stuff up, and then I'll erase while I'm talking about the information that I see. For number 2, he squeezed 8 3/4 liters of orange juice and 2 5/6 liters of water into a juice dispenser, which can hold 12 1/2 liters of liquid. He was able to sell 1 1/3 liter of that juice before his break time. How much juice was left in the juice dispenser? Now, this you really have to pick apart the information here in order to tell what to use and what to do. All right, so I notice it says was left. Anytime I see the word left, that gives me an idea of what operation I'm going to use. So I want you right now, and even though I can't see you, I want you to give me a thumbs up if you know what left means when you see it in a word problem. I'm hoping every single person has their thumb up. You know, when we see have left, how much left, was left, all of those mean the same operation. All of those mean to subtract. So give yourself a pat on the back if you said subtract. You are going to be using subtraction, some subtraction. However, in order to get to that subtraction, you're going to have to do something else first, and I'm going to explain. So, it says how much juice was left in the dispenser. So, we're talking about the juice. How much juice does he have in there to begin with? Do we know? Well, it says 8 3/4 liters of orange juice and 2 5/6 liters, but here it says 12 1/2 liters of liquid in the dispenser can hold. Do I need to know how much the dispenser can hold? No, I don't need to know that. This is information I do not need. I just need to know how much he put in there. But do I know how much he put in there altogether? I do not. So my very first thing I need to do is find out when he poured that orange juice in, and then he poured that water in, what does he have in there now when he starts? Okay, so the very first thing I need to do is find out how much juice at first. I don't know that yet. So I'm going to add the 8 3/4 liters plus the 2 5/6 liters. Okay, so that's my first step. Now, again, I do not have a common denominator. This looks familiar. Do you remember when we were putting things in order from greatest to least? Yep, same numbers. All right, so we've got, when I count by 4s, 4, 8, 12. I can also count by 6s and get 12. So when I count by 4s, I count 3 times to get the 12ths. So this would be 8 9/12. Now you guys know what I'm talking about when I say Maverick barks too much. All day long. Okay, so when I count by 6s, 6, 12, I count 2 times. So we've got 2, and then we've got 5 times 2, that's 10 12ths. All right, now I can add it up. So I've got 9 12ths plus 10 12ths, which would give me 19 12ths. Okay, 8 plus 2 is 10. So I need to go back into this because I've got a whole number in there, and I need to give it back to the, put it back into the whole number. So I've got 12 12ths that I take out, which would make this 11, and then subtract my numerator minus my denominator, which would give me 7 12ths. All right, so there are 11 7/12 of juice at first. Let me see if I answered the question. All right, so I'm going to go back here. How much juice was left in the dispenser after he sold this? Well, I haven't answered the question yet, right? Not yet. I just have answered how much he had to begin with. So I'm going to take how much he had to begin with and subtract that, because we want to know what was left once he sold. Okay, he sold 1 1/3 liter. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I've got 11 7/12, and I'm going to go ahead and erase this because I know I'm not done yet. Okay, that did not answer the question. So I've got 12ths and thirds. 3, 6, 9, 12. 12ths. All right, so 12ths, I don't have to change this. This can stay the same. I know that I count 4 times by 3s in order to get 12. So I've got 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 12ths. I'm going to subtract that because that's what he sold before his break time. So now I've got 7 12ths minus 4 12ths, which would give me 3 12ths. And then 11 minus 1, which would give me 10. Okay, so 10 3/12 is what he has left. Okay, liters left. Now, I'm wondering if you're looking at this and thinking, I can reduce that. So I've got 10 3/12, and I know I can count by 3s and get 12. I can count by 3s and get 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm going to divide this by 3, and I get 10 1/4. So 10 1/4 liters would be this answer simplified. Okay? So this is a 2-step story problem. When I get to, and I'm hoping you're writing this down because you need to be practicing. All right. When I get to the question, it says how much juice was left in the dispenser. Well, to begin with, I have to know how much juice he started with before I can find out how much was left in the dispenser. So that's what I was doing to begin with. First of all, I had to find out how much juice at first. Then I used that information to take away the 1 1/3 that he already sold. And then that gave me my answer, which is 10 3/12, or reduced is 10 1/4 liter. Okay? All right, so that is a good example of a time when you have 2 steps in order to solve the problem. All right, so I'm going to give you another second to finish that, and then we'll go on with the third and last one that we're going to do before you get to do some on your own. All right, so Ronnie bought 6 cans of soft drinks for a total of $12.14 after receiving a total discount of $1 or $1 2/3. How much was the original cost of the 6 cans of soft drinks? Okay, so we want to know the original cost. Well, cost. So 6 cans, that doesn't mean anything. I do not need that number in order to answer the question. Okay, so I do need to know the amounts of money. So when I'm looking at that amount of money, I know that he paid $12 1/4, but actually he paid less than the original price because he had a discount. Now, where he got the discount, I don't know. I don't know whether he had a coupon or there was a promotion or what it was. But $12 1/4 that he paid was not really the original cost. That was the cost after he got his discount. So we want to know, what was that original cost? So we know that there was $12 1/4 is what he paid, but that was minus the $1 2/3. So I need to add that discount back in to tell what his original price was. So he wants to know how much he saved. So he saved that $1 2/3, but he wants to look at, well, what would that original cost have been? So plus $1 2/3. Okay, so that's going to give me the original price. So I know when I'm counting by threes, 3, 6, 9, 12. When I count by fours, I get 12 too. So I count by threes 4 times to get 12. I count by fours 3 times to get 12. All right. So this gives me $12 3/12. And this would give me 1 and 2 times 4, that would be $8/12. So now I need to add it up. So I've got 3/12 plus 8/12, which would be 11/12. And then 12 plus 1 would give me 13. So 13 and 11/12. So his original price, so the original price was $13 and 11/12. All right, we can't reduce that. There's nothing that we can divide or factor out of 11 and 12, both of those. So it is reduced all the way. So really close to $14 there. All right, so I'm hoping that this is showing you how to work with word problems, what to look for. Remember, look for those clue words. Look to see if it's a 2-step story problem. When you get finished with the first step, or what you assume is the first step, and you assume you have the answer, go back and check to see if you answered that question. Just like I did with the second one. I went back and read it again, and it did not answer the question. So obviously I needed more information before I could answer the question. Okay, so I want you to really focus on that and really make sure that you're answering the question. All right, so you've got 6 story problems, word problems to work on, and then you'll go over the answers together, and I hope you do great. All right, I will hopefully see you guys soon. I miss you guys, and I want you to keep focusing, keep thinking, and stay curious. I'll see you next time.